Welcome back to Understanding Residential Permit Drawings. This is video number 2 in the series. In this video, we're going to talk about navigating a set of drawings. So basically how to get through a set of drawings and find the information that you need quickly and easily. So the first part in this is sheet numbering and order. So to go to our set of drawings, the first thing that I want to point out is on this cover sheet, a lot of times what you're going to find is a sheet list. So that sheet list is going to give you a brief description of what sheets are included in the set of drawings and what those sheets, what the sheet title is, like this would be cover sheet, and what the sheet number is. So just to give you an example, over here in the title block, we're going to have the sheet number. So in this case, this is G100. And the next one is going to be the C100, the site plan. And then we're going to go down through and it's going to have all of the A sheets as well. So there's a lot of information that's built into this sheet numbering system. And basically the G that starts this out, that stands for general information. So it's going to be general information that applies to the entire project typically. So whenever we're looking at this sheet, we can get into this more later, but basically all this information on here is going to apply to the entire project. So whenever I look at C100, again, it's over here in the title block, and this designation C is for civil. So this could include site plans like it does here. It could include grading plans. It could include basically anything that's going to be needed for civil work. So excavation, there could be utilities, different things like that. Utility details on here, installation details. So a lot of different parts to that. Alright, so if I go back to this drawing, I can see that this also has all the architectural drawings. So architectural drawings are basically the drawings that the general contractor is going to be responsible for. So a lot of times what will happen with a set of drawings is they will go out for bid. So that basically means that a contractor, a general contractor, is going to take a look at the drawings and find out exactly what they're responsible for, what parts of the construction they're responsible for, and they're going to come up with a price that they can actually build it for. So whenever they put a bid on that price, or a price in on that, which is whenever they actually submit a bid, what's going to happen is if their bid is accepted, then they're going to have a contract that they build the project as shown in the drawings for the price that they gave. And there's some, if the owner would add some different things, or if the architect would add some different things to the drawings, then it gives the general contractor a way to do an addendum or a change order that they can add certain things in, but it's going to be at an additional cost. So the one exception to that is if we had M, P, or E drawings within this set of drawings, that's typically going to fall under a subcontractor. So it could be an electrical subcontractor for the electrical drawings. It could be a plumbing subcontractor for the plumbing drawings. It could be an HVAC contractor for M or H drawings, M for mechanical. So a lot of times we use those sheet designations, the sheet numbers, to specify the scope of work or what work should be done by which contractor. And in this case, since we don't have MPE, A is typically going to fall under the general contractor. C would fall under an excavator, a contractor that would be doing all the excavation, and general is just the general information. So that's a real quick rundown of why these are named how they are. If we look at the architectural sheets, the next big thing that we're going to look at is on our new work plan. So again, this is a drawing that has an existing plan, a demolition plan, and new work plan. So on the new work plan, it shows what the new construction is going to be. So the next thing that I want to point out is there's a few different symbols within this drawing that helps guide us through the project. It basically helps navigate us through the project so that we can find the information that we need to find. So the first one that I want to point out is this right here. So this is the drawing title and drawing number. So in this case, there is one drawing on sheet A101, and it's listed right here, drawing number 1. It is the new work plan, and it also gives the scale of the drawing. So if I were to go look at another sheet, say A104, in this case we have 1, 2, 3 drawings that show up within this sheet. So sometimes there might just be one, sometimes there could be 20 different drawings on there if it would be a detail sheet or something like that. So back to this drawing here, and this will make more sense why we do this and how this comes into play in a little bit. So the next symbol that I wanted to point out is these elevation symbols. So these symbols, the elevation symbol, the drawing title, or actually the elevation symbol, these section symbols, they're only going to show up on plan views typically. So this is an elevation symbol that shows up on a plan view, and basically what this does, it says to anyone that's looking at them, hey, if you would like to see an elevation of this side of the building, then go to drawing number 1 on sheet A103. So I'm going to go to sheet A103 and I'm going to look at drawing number 1. And you can see that is my south elevation, and it gives me all the detail information that an elevation would typically have on it. Jumping back to this, this is another elevation symbol. This time it's 1A102. So it's going to show me an elevation of this side. And you can see on the left side I have the new construction, and on the right side, whenever I'm pointing this direction, I would have the existing construction. So here, this drawing, this is my east elevation, and again I have the new construction on the left and the existing on the right. So it's a very quick, easy way to point out the elevations to see exactly which view is going to show what, which sheet that it's on, so I can very quickly look at that and see which sheet I need to go to. For example, if I wanted to find out what this door looks like in real life, or let's say we'll look at this elevation since we haven't looked at it yet. If I want to see a little bit more detail about this door, I could go to my door schedule, but I can get a real nice visual of how this side of the building is going to look with this door and this window by going to 1A104. So whenever I go to that and I look at this elevation, I can very quickly see that this is a door that has a full light or a full window on it with these divisions, probably into 15 divisions. I can see what the swing is supposed to be on it, and I can see that this is going to be a double hung window. So that's a very useful tool to be able to quickly look at this and see the corresponding views and see how they work out. So the next symbol is a section symbol. So there's two different ones here, this one and this one. The difference between these is this one here cuts the whole way through the entire building. So it's going to be a building section, and it's going to show a lot less detail than this one, which is a typical wall section. So the typical wall section shows, a lot of times it will show a tremendous amount of detail, and we'll look at that in greater detail later. But to go to the building section, I'm going to go to 1A106, And on that sheet I can see here is my building section. So I can see the different parts of it, the foundation, the floor system, the wall assembly, the roof and ceiling assembly, and it doesn't really show a whole lot of detail because it is at a relatively small scale. A 1/4 inch equals a foot. The other one, and we'll just look at the symbol real quickly, A105, my typical wall section. I'll go to sheet A105, and I can see my typical wall section, it's only cutting through part of the wall and part of the floor, part of the roof assembly. So the first thing that allows me to do is I use a larger scale. So in this case it was 3/4 of an inch equals a foot. So for every 3/4 of an inch on the actual sheet, that represents 1 foot. And that's basically 3 times larger than the 1/4 inch equals a foot scale. So I can show a lot more detail within this drawing, as you can see, and we'll get more into that later. So that basically covers our elevations and our sections. Some drawings you would see, you could also see some interior elevations like this. So if I wanted to show great detail on the kitchen, then I would have an interior elevation. For this set of drawings, the owners were going to have their kitchen designed by the installer, and they wanted to basically work with them to have a kitchen designed. So I had no interior elevations on here. And a lot of times the typical wall section, there might be 2 or 3 different types of wall sections within the building. So there could be several of these. I could also do a building section going this direction to show how this is going to tie in with the existing structure. But in this case, there's only the one building section, the one typical wall section, and the 3 exterior elevations. I also wanted to make a quick note that these are going to show up in other views also, and a lot of times the elevations will show up in other views as well, other floor plan views, and this allows you to very quickly see how this section is going to go through your slab and your new foundation, new footing. All right, back to our list of things that we wanted to cover. The last thing that we want to cover in here is our title block information. It's the only thing that we haven't talked about. We talked about sheet numbering and order and drawing symbols quite extensively. So if we go back to our set of drawings, the other thing that's going to be shown in this set of drawings on the title block, in this location we're going to have project name and description. Right here, this is going to be your timestamp. So this is basically the time and date that this set of drawings was printed. So a lot of times this is going to be different than the actual project date. Project date is going to be, typically it's going to be the same the whole way throughout the entire set. This is going to vary obviously because things will be printed at different time frames. So just to zoom in here a little bit, whenever I look at this, I also have who this was drawn by, who it's checked by, and whenever I have the drawn by, that gives you a nice easy person to identify, okay, if I have questions about this drawing, who can I contact? Because a lot of times several different people will work on a set of drawings. We have the project date we talked about a little bit before. Basically it's going to be coordinated by all the contractors to make sure everyone is working on the most current set of drawings, and the bid set of drawings if there was a bid out on the project. And we also have a project number that breaks down how this set of drawings is going to be organized and filed within the office of the designer. And we talked about the sheet numbers. A lot of times the scale will be listed here within the title block, but if there's multiple drawings with different scales, it'll say scale as indicated. So we'll have to look at the individual drawings for that. And the sheet title. So this sheet is going to be a combination of an elevation and foundation plan. And I also have a 3D on there, but my main focus are these two drawings within that sheet. So that's the breakdown of the sheet naming. So that pretty much covers everything that we were going to cover in video 2, how to navigate a set of drawings. In the next lesson, we're going to get into some other things, and primarily what we're going to talk about is plan views. So there's several different types of plan views within this. We'll get into that more later, but basically a plan view is looking above the building and seeing what it would look like if I were to take off the roof, or if I was looking at a roof from flying over in an airplane from the perspective above the building.